All right, so today we are talking about the summer shift. Every year it happens. People go nuts, wondering what happens, how did the market change? And I always say, well, it's just what we call the good old summer shift.
This is LARICY Live, and I'm your host, Matt LARICY. We're giving you unfiltered access to the world of real estate. We cover the market trends, news, and give you honest answers to keep you ahead of the real estate game. LARICY Live is brought to you by Lincoln Title. Lincoln Title is the best and most efficient title company in Chicago and the best place to close your property. LARICY Live is also brought to you by Guaranteed Rate and Ben Cohn. Ben is #1 in Illinois and can close your loan in as fast as 8 days.
So when does the summer shift officially start? Well, it starts pretty much, in my opinion, like right around Father's Day. Could be the week before, could be the week after, but it's around that mid-June-ish area is when you kind of start to notice that the market shifts. The reason the summer shift happens is that Chicago is the most rent-heavy city in the country. Most people's rents come due the end of March, April, May, first part of June. So by mid-June, people have decided to buy or rent. So we lose about 50% in demand. So everybody that's riding that spring high, they're having a great time. Then they get back, ready to go. Mid-June hits, and people are like, holy cow, why did the market change? Well, the summer shift hit. That's all it is. So it's just something you have to kind of consider and focus and put it into your business model. If you're a buyer or seller out there, you kind of have to kind of understand that, like, if you're going to be buying or selling around here, what are the different things that you can kind of depend on happening? And that's why we're kind of doing this, so you could kind of understand like where the market is at today. When does the summer shift officially end? About the week before Labor Day. I think the fall market starts the week before Labor Day. So the shift happens from like mid-June to like, let's just call it Labor Day to be easy. And then after that, we get the fall push. Can I snag a deal during the summer shift? Absolutely. You'll definitely pay a little bit less during the shift than you will at the front part of the year. There's just less demand. So if you got less demand, you have less competition. Now, I know somebody out there is like, well, I just paid the highest price ever. Well, it happens. It definitely happens. I'm saying statistically speaking, though, you're more likely to pay a little bit less. What's the difference in demand you see? I see about 50% less demand. Now, we have the biggest market share in the city according to the MLS, and I'll tell you we have the most listings, and I'll tell you I could see that our showings and our listings dip, okay? So like it's just what we see. And then I look at the showing time, like traction, where they could show you like, how many people are looking at stuff and how many showings there are, and you could literally see that the showings are down. And when you talk to other brokers, they say it. So, it is a big difference. It doesn't mean it's a bad market. It just means that it's not like the greatest market of all time anymore. How many showings do you get in the summer compared to spring? Like I said, 50% less. Which neighborhoods are performing better in the summer? In all honesty, the outskirts are still performing better than the downtown markets. However, we typically do see the downtown markets perform better than they normally would, especially in like the higher end markets in the summertime, because if the sun is shining and you got, no crime and the city's looking, just beautiful. It's like a tuxedo going to a wedding, just looking great. The market is doing really good. And then you get tourists and you get international buyers and people are like, wow, I missed Chicago. Like, I love the city. And you know what? I'm living in the suburbs. I want to buy a place. So we do see like the heart of the cities like River North, Gold Coast, Streeterville, the Loop, New East Side. Those areas that have been really, really struggling. Start to see a little bit more action during the summertime than we would from different clientele. I'm not saying that you get more sales, but I'm saying you get action from people that you normally wouldn't see, solely due because people are looking more in the summer because they're down here more. They're at restaurants. They're at bars. They're seeing Taylor Swift, whatever it is. There's a lot of stuff going on. What drives the summer market? I would say the main people who drive it are late to the market, first-time buyers. And then I would say that it's going to be empty nesters and in-town buyers. Though I see way more empty nesters and in-town buyers during the summer market than I do in the front half. First-time buyers are still going to be your main driving force. But I would say it's closely followed by that market that almost doesn't exist in the first part of the year. Could we see a balanced market at the back half of the year? Absolutely. Actually, I would say like we're kind of teetering towards a balanced market, and it's going to be a buyer's market at the end of the year. So call it like the last 3 months of the year. So right now we're in almost a balance. It is a little bit different though, because if you have a property on the outskirts, and remember guys, the outskirts is Westtown, Wicker Park, Bucktown, Avondale, Logan Square, North Center, Lincoln Park, Lakeview. And I don't know why people get offended when I say outskirts. It's just easier to say outskirts rather than read off, 15 different neighborhoods. But if you're in the outskirts and you're $500,000 and less, that it's the hottest market in the city. It's insane. Rents are absolutely crazy right now, and those markets are going to be absolutely crazy. But the other markets that are doing really well are going to be, or those markets are going to continue doing really well throughout the year solely because of the rentals. With people visiting during the summer, how do you filter out of town looky-loos who want to see properties after brunch and real buyers? I mean, you can't. I mean, we partner with a lot of different companies, Zillow, Fast Expert, out of Cayman. There's like 50 of these damn things. And you get people who call you last second and they're like, hey, there's Marina Towers. I've seen it in Transformers. I think it'd be cool to look at it. Let's go. And here's the thing is we could be cocky and be like, oh, we're great. We do a lot of business. We could pass on it. And that person can end up buying it off somebody else. And I will say 2 times out of 10 they buy and 8 times out of 10 they don't buy. But guess what? It's 20% of the time they do it. And I'm okay with wasting my time for a 20% chance. Only 1% of people are successful in this business. So if I got to lose 80% of my time to make an extra 20% throughout the year, I'll take that. And it's a big reason why we do a lot of business. But it is extremely aggravating when you get a last second showing and you can hear the people ordering the food. And we talk about this all the time. Do you see a lot of tourist buyers? We do, like a ridiculous amount. I would say 3 to 4 a week at this time of year, like that much, maybe more. It's always Saturdays and Sundays that they call, or it's like Friday night. No joke. This is not a joke. It's like Friday night, 11:30. My phone ring and I'll get it and say, hey, we're in town. We got these 30 places we want to see tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. And you're like, wait, what? First off, it's physically impossible to see 30 places in one day. And second off, we got to call these people. We got to meet them, etc. We can show you a couple. But it is a huge thing that happens. And like I said, about 20% of the time they buy it, and 80% of the time you're wasting your time. What are they usually looking for? They're usually looking for buildings that have low maintenance. Okay, so super low maintenance. Let's think high rises. They could leave town. Shut the door, never be there. And they're looking for things with good views. Okay. Those are the 2 main things that a tourist buyer is looking for: low maintenance, good views. And then I would say the third thing they're looking for is Airbnb. I might put that to the first one, is that, hey, I'm only in town a couple times a year, and then I'd like to Airbnb the property the rest of the time. And I tell them, well, no big high rise allows you to Airbnb legally. Okay, so everybody out there listening, no big high rise in the city of Chicago allows Airbnb to be done legally. And then everybody screams at me and they're like, well, I saw it on VRBO last night, or I'm staying at one right now. And I'm like, well, listen, people rob stores every day of the week, but that doesn't mean it's legal. Like, people are going to Airbnb their place even though it's not legal. And then they yell at me, and then I have to take it. And I'm like, I'm so sorry, sir. You're right. You probably can Airbnb it, but this particular one you can't. But yes, that is the number one thing for tourist buyers. Do I see a lot of in-town buyers at this time? Yeah. So I do think there's a difference between tourists and in-town buyers. So tourist buyers, someone who's literally just here on a weekend, thinks they want to buy. And by the way, I still don't understand why people come to towns and want to see properties. I'll never understand it. Me and my wife were just in Napa. I don't know why. We would just be we're there for 3 nights. Why am I going to spend a half of my day? So then I only have 2.5 more days just to go look at properties. That's just, I don't get it. But it happens. So tourists are kind of more like tire kickers. In-town buyers are people that are living in Winnetka or Hinsdale or Indianapolis or Madison, something close. Like a suburb or a big city that's close by, and wants to have a place to park their bag when they come here, or it's mostly because they got kids that live in the city. So usually these are an older demographic. Their kids have just graduated college or have graduated college, or they're an older demographic and their kids just had a kid. Okay. And they want to be able to be close to their grandkids, and their kid may live in Lincoln Park with the kids, and then they're going to buy a place in River North when they're, in town, so they could, enjoy restaurants and stuff, and then go help with the kid on the weekends and stuff. So that's the difference between an in-town and a tourist buyer, and we do see a lot of them, and they are looking for that kind of like turnkey, easy lifestyle. What about international buyers in the summer? We do see a lot of international buyers in the summertime as well. This year we are not, but in a typical year we do see a lot more international buyers, and it's obviously just because more of them are coming. That's a big reason why the near north side, which is Gold Coast, River North, Riverville, and south part of Old Town, is not performing as well, because we're not getting as much international attention as we typically do. How do I change conversations with clients in the summer? It's easy. Let's say you're a buyer. If you're a buyer and you come to me and you're like, I'd like to buy, I'd say, listen, now's a great time to buy. The reason I think the summer market for me personally is my favorite time to buy is because you have a good amount of inventory. Okay, it's not super low, but you have a good amount of inventory. Okay, and then you have less competition. So, not every place you walk into is super hot, meaning like this. In the springtime, you could walk into a place that's $450,000 and it came on the market today at 9 a.m. and we go there at noon. And by the time you get there, the cocky agent's like, hey, listen, we have multiple bids. Highest and best is due at 5. They're like, this place came on at 9. We're here at 12 and we already have to give an offer by 5. And they're say yes. And that place came on at 450 and you got to buy it for 500,000. Okay. That's a spring market. In the summer market, the place can come on at 9. You go there at like 5 p.m. and it's 450, and they'll be like, hey, like we got a lot of showings, a lot of people circling, no offers yet. We can make an offer that day and lock it up for maybe 455 instead of 500, or we can even offer in the morning, okay? And if it does go to multiple bids, it may only go to 460 or 465 rather than 500 in the spring. Big difference. If I'm a seller, I tell sellers this. I say, hey, listen, if you're looking to sell in the summer, you can't get spring pricing in the summer. And just like I'm not going to get summer pricing in the fall. Remember this, guys. Remember the sellers. In the summer, the market is different. Real estate is a stock. I do not care what anybody tells me. It's a stock. I can guarantee you, everybody that's out here listening right now would love to get Apple pricing, okay, the Apple stock pricing in the 1980s, okay? But we can't do it. We got to pay today's rate. Okay, if we can give up everything we can to get the Apple price stock in the 80s, we would all be billionaires. We could care less what's going on, okay? But we got to pay today's rate. So when we're looking to sell today, we can't only look at the comps from the springtime. We also have to look at the comps in the fall of last year, because more than likely it's going to be somewhere between the spring and the fall pricing. And that's how I talk differently to the buyers and sellers. I set the right expectations. So for buyers, it's a little bit better. And for sellers, it's a little bit worse. It's not a bad thing. It's just not as good as possible. Do I think the near north side is going to get better and the loop is going to get better this summer? So those are the two areas. So the loop and the near north side are the two hardest hit areas. The downtown markets, which also includes West Loop and South Loop. I do think they'll get better because, the city's looking great. I mean, we just had NASCAR. It was a good event. The city looked really well, even though it rained a lot. I think it brought a lot of positive attention to the city. And I think that, a lot of people who kind of gave up on the city are going to kind of fall back in love with it. I'll tell you what. I kind of fell back in love with the city after watching The Bear. The TV show, right? You saw The Bear, and like I think our city looked awesome in it. And I'm like, fuck, man, there's all these restaurants I want to go to. And it's summertime. And here I am, and I live in the city. I'm like booking. I'm like taking notes of where this guy went to, and I'm scheduling it out. And I'm like falling back in love with the city. And I'm imagining myself, if I'm a tourist or an in-town buyer who came back to the city, I haven't been here since the pandemic, and I'm like, damn, this city looks awesome. Like, this looks great. Like, I want a place here. Because like right now, all I'm doing is like living in the middle of Iowa in a cave, eating at Applebee's, instead of like being downtown and like being around the action, the lights. I mean, I truly believe that the majority of people give off energy, and people feed off that energy, and they like being around other people, and that's why cities thrive. So I do think that the downtown markets will get better during the summer because of that. Even though we're seeing a shift, I still think it'll be a good time. Which red is best during summer? I ask questions to get questions from all the group members too. So they're asking me which red is best during the summer months. That means which red wine is best. So technically, guys, you're not supposed to drink red wine in the summer. I don't like white wine. So any type of Napa Cab I think is delicious in the summertime. I don't care how hot it is. You can be in the sun and it's great. What kind of buyers buy in the summertime after the shift? Honestly, here's a big portion of buyers that are looking right now during the shift. A lot of buyers got nervous to buy during the first part of the year. Okay. They're like, hey, listen, it's too hot. Everything's flying off the market. And one of the reasons why we crush it in the summer months, in fact, the last 2 weeks for me, I put more places under contract than I did at any point during the springtime, is because I had all these buyers that were complaining about the market being too hot. And I said, listen, when you have to buy, like I could go month to month, I could go 3 months at a time, like just extend your lease till the end of August then, okay? And then have some sort of out clause, because here's what's gonna happen. We're gonna hit June, July, and August, and like things aren't gonna move as fast and you'll be able to pick stuff. So like now we're seeing the buyers, like for us, I have more buyers than I can count that we punted. We were like, just wait a couple months, and then this all will be over. And that same place that's 450, it's selling for 5 is 450 selling for 460, which we're seeing. That's one port of the buyers. So buyers who kept getting outbid and decided to kind of, pump the brakes until the summertime. Second type of buyers are buyers who are they're on the end of summer leases, the August, September leases. Okay, so those are people who graduated college. They were kind of on that August to August lease. They got their first job. They were still in that mix, and they're coming here. Third one is the relocation buyers. We get a lot of businesses that relocate their employees to get started by the fall. Okay, so those are ones, and then of course the in-town and the out-of-state buyers, which we've talked about. So that's the type of buyers we see the most of. Do I take a vacation in the summer? Yes, I take 2 vacations in the summer. I'm not a big believer in days off. I work from Christmas all the way up to July 1st. So every year from July 1st to July 5th, I go to Napa, and then first or second week of August, I'll do a 3-night trip with the kids. And I don't know about anybody out there that's watching this that has kids. I don't think we don't call it a vacation, we call it a trip, right? Call it a trip. It's you got to get through it. I will tell you, as a parent now, when I was younger and you saw somebody with a baby walking on a plane, and you're younger, you're like, fuck. Like, I hope they're not sitting next to me, right? Like, you got that, you're just almost automatically mad. Now, as I'm older with a kid, if I see someone with a parent with a baby, I'm like, I feel so bad for that guy. Like, I just feel terrible. Like, I'm like, look at my wife. I'm like, do we have anything we could give them or help them out? Like, and I always like, hey, everything's good. Like, we're good. Like, don't worry about it. Like, I want to like pump that person up, because I know what it feels like the minute you get on a plane with a kid and you just look and you see everybody else's face and the way they look at you. I will tell you, I don't think, and anybody out there that's a parent can relate, I don't think there's any worse look in life of getting on a plane with a kid and the look on people's faces that they look at you. So I try to I'm like double thumbs up. I'm like, you got it, man. Like, you got this. Like, we got you. Like, I try to pump them up with good energy now. But that's a tangent about a vacation in the summertime. So yes, I take equals about 8 days off. And those are my first 8 days off of the year. Let's see here. Is now a good time to take a trip? Yes, it's slower in the summertime. So that's why I take a trip every July 1st to the 5th, because it's the second slowest week of the year minus Christmas to New Year's. But it's also in August. August is our slowest month of the year. If we look at our number of sales, how many places we put in our contract, we always, every year, statistically speaking, put the least amount of properties under contract in August. I have a better December than August every year. And the reason I have a better December than August is because December, remember, we have that end of March, April, May, first part of June leases coming due. If people have an end of March or April lease and they go under contract in January or December, let's do backwards, back in the napkin math and say, okay, like if they do a 60-day close, January, February, right, you're at the first part of March. So they're only eating about 30 days of rent, and they're buying when the market's the worst. So they're getting a better deal. And that's a big thing that we preface buyers for, is being like, hey, if you want to get a better deal, buy now and you'll be able to get through it. So August is our technically slowest time of year, and that's kind of why it is good. If I tell the guys, like, if you got to take a vacation, like, do it then. Like, I mean, we're not going to be so overwhelmed we're going to miss something because you're gone. How does travel affect the marketplace? It's huge. So I say one of the reasons why the summer shift happens, it's not only the rent thing, but think about this. Like, people who have kids, they've decided to get something, like June is busy for them, and then maybe the first part of July, and then they're traveling or they got stuff going on. If you're a younger person, okay, let's call it under 35 years old, you're day drinking, you're going to bars, you're traveling, you're going to Europe, you got golf outings, weddings. It's wedding season. I don't know about you, but like, I mean, I don't have friends, but if I had friends, a lot of them probably be getting married. So, you gotta, I always tell people this, or you go to lake houses too, right? So when you have all that going on, like, of course that's going to affect the marketplace. I always tell people that we have more showings during the weekdays than we have during the weekends. And when my sellers yell at me, they're like, why don't we have as many showings this weekend? I'm like, well, where were you this weekend? I'm like, what do you mean? I go, just what did you do this weekend? They're like, oh, I was at my lake house in Michigan. Okay. What about last weekend? They're like, oh, we had a wedding. I was like, what about the weekend before that? Oh, we had to go to Florida to visit the kids. Oh, so you haven't been in town last 3 weekends? Well, no, we're really busy. I'm like, okay, what do you think about everybody else? You think you're the only person that's traveling or have weddings or, decide to go to that golf outing and get hammered with your older friends that you haven't seen since college? Like, that's everybody. So this is one of the reasons why the summer shift is so important, because listen, we only have 3 months of the year where the weather is just freaking awesome in the city. Okay. It's they call it summertime shy for a reason. It's the best time of the year. So if you're thinking that and you're loving the summer, what do you think? Do you think the potential buyer wakes up at 9 o'clock in the morning on a sunny day in July and it's like, wow, this looks amazing. And then all their friends are texting like, let's go play beach volleyball. Like, yo, my parents' house up in Lake Geneva, they gave it to us this weekend. We got the boat. We got the jet skis. Like, should we, do you want to come up and drive up with us this weekend? Or do you want to go? And the guy's like, well, I might want to go do that, but I'm supposed to be looking at houses today. And you think the friend's like, oh, okay. Well, there's like 15 of us going up there. So if something changes, you know what we get? We get more last minute cancellations on Saturdays and Sundays in the summer because of that. Now, the people always tell us that like, hey, I woke up, I don't feel good, or something came up and blah, blah, blah. And I always, anybody who cancels on me last minute on a Saturday or Sunday in the summertime, I'm like, listen, like you probably going out with your bros or your girls, okay? And you probably or you probably got like too hammered last night. Like just be honest with me. I don't care. Like I'm not here to judge you. Like I've been young before. Like go have a good time, okay? But like ultimately, all this stuff affects the marketplace, and all of this stuff affects showings, and that's why we have more showings on weekdays than weekends. Okay. Do you see more families buying in the summer before school starts? Yes. But honestly, they're only looking mostly kind of in more what I would call like the first part of summer, like June. By July and August, I do not see as many families because you have to be like pretty much closed